Alright, guys, welcome back to another episode of Perfect Strangers, Lazy Sunday edition. I am your co host, Anthony, and with me,
Mr. Paul Cullinan. Uh, Unknown to you guys, we've been on a little couple day hiatus due to some. We're just tired. No time. There's no time. There's no time to do anything.
yeah, pretty much. It's been a very, very busy month. Um, I'm glad that it's over. I'm glad to be here doing the podcast. So let's get started. Let's talk about happiness.
Good
That's a good,
old, good old happiness.
yeah. Um, you know, I believe happiness is mysterious because Um, it's a choice almost. We were talking about this earlier. Um,
Yeah, I mean it's a conscious choice that you have to make with the people that surround you, with the decisions that you make. I know people that consciously put themselves into situations where they're just unhappy because they don't know any better, and it's kind of a shame. But like Anthony said, we were talking about this literally maybe 20 minutes prior to the podcast. It's just you can't save everybody, you know.
that's true. At a certain point in time, like because happiness is a choice, you have to make a choice and decide: does this person affect my happiness overall? Are they messing up my energy, my flow? And then you use that to decide whether or not you should keep trying to help them.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's selfish in that aspect because I mean, if you go out of your way to attempt to make a difference in their life because they're your friend or they're your girlfriend or maybe even family, you can only do so much as an outside influence. You really have to. It gets to a point where it's really up to the person.
Absolutely,
You could bring the horse to water. You can't make them drink.
absolutely.
You can give them the tools that they need, but I don't know.
And and
It's a lot more complicated than what any person could make it out to be.
yeah, the complicated part is that there's a certain addictive aspect to being sad. Like being sad is very addictive.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know if you've
it's
ever been depressed, but once you hit there, it's really hard to climb out of that. You've almost found it like it's your new comfort zone.
yeah. I've always talked about depression as being it's almost comfortable because when you're depressed, you're like, man, screw everything else. I'm just gonna lay in bed all day, and who wants to give that up?
That's true. Low energy. You're able to blame a lot of your problems on just things happening around you.
Yeah, it makes like problems with your significant other, friends, schoolwork, normal work. It gives it all a common enemy, and you could just blame it all on depression when in fact it's not all due to depression. It's just you um, making it like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very crazy. And I guess that's why they have that expression that there's a cloud over your head because you do kind of feel like you're in a haze of some sort, you know?
Yeah, I found when I mean I'm not diagnosed with depression. I mean I've been sad. Everyone's been sad,
Of course.
but I mean there's been relationships. There's been stuff going on during like high school where it just felt like a constant like everything was always too much. Like imagine just radio static playing in your head at like max volume, and you're just sitting there while like, people are talking to you, your girlfriend's talking to you, and you're just like, man, I don't know what the hell's going on. And for a long time, I thought it was just normal. I don't know why. I felt like maybe everybody does go through it, and that's just being sad. But I've never talked to a therapist. I don't know.
Um,
I wrote a paper on it in my English 171 in college, and it brought my teacher to tears.
Everybody reacts differently. Um, if you need a therapist, you should definitely check one out.
Yeah,
I took therapy for about 3 weeks, and I found it wasn't for me. That's why it was such a short amount of time. But and maybe just because I was a psych major at the time, I found it very interesting. The sessions, you become kind of close with this therapist as you share things about your life, so that they can kind of figure out where you are now, like things in your past that you know,
Mm-hmm.
can help you to where you are now. And it's pretty fun. But at the end of the day, I felt like that, and truly, in order to get over whatever it was that I was feeling, I had to, put myself through the motions. Going to a therapist is no different, and this is all personal opinion, than having a really good listener, having a really good person by your side that really understands you to
Yeah.
just, you know, but that's on a surface level. There's some people that are traumatized from things that happened way back, and they seek therapy to help them figure out, why do I always get angry when I hear this song, or every time I look in the mirror, why do I feel regret? That is something that only a professional can answer. Your best friend can answer that, but I feel like if it's just the surface level, you just need somebody to talk to, and you just need somebody to tell you what they feel you're going through. You can get a family member, a friend to do that.
Yeah, I think have like a therapist is benefit. My psych professor, told me that a therapist is just rent a friend, like you pay to have someone to talk to,
Yeah.
which is it writes it off as being almost not helpful at all and a useless like field.
Mhm.
But it's really different than just talking to a friend, because maybe your only friend is part of the problem that you need to get off your chest. So I was thinking the other day, is talking to a therapist, even though they're a professional, just talking to someone that doesn't give a shit about you, like just a random stranger that could just give you the business, like how it is, what you need to hear, and not have someone that's trying to spare your feelings.
Yeah.
I wonder if that would be any, if that would hold any similar repercussions to talking to a therapist, because a therapist is gonna treat you well, but tell you what you need to hear.
True. Um, a lot of people also feel lonely, like they have no one else to confide in, and having a therapist is very helpful. So I don't know if having somebody that lacked empathy would really help. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of something I was thinking about the other day. I don't really think it's quantifiable
Hmm.
to talking to a therapist opposed to a random stranger, but I
Yeah.
think it holds similarities where it's just like a therapist is going to tell you exactly what they think and really, in a roundabout way, try to spare your feelings, because in the end, you need to hear that, regardless of how you feel about it.
True.
And if you're just talking to someone that you see on the side of the road, where you're like, hey, I'm going through some shit, what do you think? And they're going to be like, well, stop being a little bitch and get over it. Do your shit.
But then you got the people who are like, depression, it's all biochemistry and neurotransmitters. You know what I mean? You got those people who are just, they don't believe in it. They believe that it's just, well, on some level, it's true. It's just the chemicals in your brains being imbalanced to make you feel this way. But some people go through some real stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't know if, you can really just say that I mean, I guess you could say that the chemistry in their brain is imbalanced, but it's imbalanced for a specific reason. And you're not going to therapy to figure out that there's something wrong with your brain. I mean, you've already got to that point if you're trying to get to a therapist. You're trying to figure out what happened. Where did
Yeah.
we go wrong and how can we get back on the right track?
When it comes to chemicals being imbalanced in your brain, you really have to go to a psychiatrist, is the one that can prescribe you medication.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
That's true. Medication comes into play too with that.
if you have if your chemicals in your brain are imbalanced, the only thing to fix that is to balance or attempt to balance those with rigorous trial and what's the term for uh, damn it.
Um,
uh,
what term?
like when you try something and it fails, and then you try a new thing and it fails, and then you try again and it works. Like just trying over and over again until
Trial and error?
trial and error with
Yeah.
medication. Because I've met a few people where they have a chemical imbalance in their brain and they get this medication and it helps in some ways, but in other ways it makes it like emphasizes effects. Like if you're having suicidal thoughts, they get worse. But you're not. you could go out, you can go outside and hang out, but you go home and at night it just gets so much worse now that you're on medication.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's the only way as of right now to fix yourself. You have to keep trying and trying until something works.
Everybody's different. Our metabolisms all work at different rates. Um, so when you take medication, you got to keep in mind that, it might not be for you. And if you're really on the medication train, then you just got to find the right one for you. Trial and error, definitely.
Yeah, and just to go back to what you were saying about people that like don't believe in depression and stuff like anxiety and stuff,
Hmm.
I could attribute that to it really gained some traction recently, like within the last 20 years. And growing up before that, everyone was just on their own stuff, and everyone was like, yeah, everyone's normal unless you're mentally handicapped. Like, yeah, and everyone's different, but everyone's kind of on the same playing field, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But it just, as science and medicine progresses, of course, we're going to be able to diagnose people more specifically, and of course, there's going to be people with these kinds of defects in their brain. And I feel like it's just a bunch of like baby boomers just not growing up with the fact that people can have these kind of issues
True.
and
It is
just
true.
blaming it on people being crybabies.
Modern medicine and technology today is crazy. So I can definitely see how we're able to study the brain more in depth and learn things that we never knew before.
Exactly. And it's always going to keep, I mean, I don't know, but maybe in 20 years we're going to turn into those people and be like, you have Glinklock disease? What is that? Are you kidding me? You're just a crybaby.
Well, on a certain level, it's already happening now with this whole transgender community stuff, I guess. And to my understanding, surgery has been around for a while, right?
Yeah,
For a
gender
decent while.
gender reassignment surgery.
Yeah, that's
It's been around for a while, but it I don't know the specifics, but I'm almost positive it was way more dangerous in like the 70s and 80s to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
gender reassigned than it is now.
Yeah, it's a quick process now too. Yeah. So, um, yeah, like that back then, people were like, "Oh, you think you're a girl? Haha, no, you don't." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they didn't really believe in it because I guess we didn't have the technology, the medicine, the ability for so many people to do it.
I mean, yeah,
And the more
that's
they studied that industry, the more they saw that people, might actually be born like, gender isn't something that it just happens, like,
yeah, I mean, people are obsessed with the notion that gender is biologically decided by whether or not you have a penis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I mean, it maybe technically, but nowadays things change. Like
Yeah.
the word gender is now what you are.
Exactly. What
And
do you identify
who
with?
can tell you that other than yourself?
Exactly.
Like who knows you better than yourself? It's asinine for someone to look at a transgender person and say, "You're not a boy. You're a female. What's between your legs? Do you have a dick? I don't think so. You're a girl."
Yeah, but that's not what they feel. Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. with
what's the problem? I don't get it. Like I've heard so many people, it just personally offends them so much, and I don't know why.
There's so many things going on with that. There's religion. That's a big thing.
Social
like,
norms, I
yeah,
guess.
there's social norms, and then there's just the fact that, their family raised them this way, so, they're going to raise their kids that way, and it's just learned behavior, like racism.
Yeah,
in a
I
level.
guess. And to a point, you could say, "Oh man, I can't really blame this person because they were raised this way." But like, man, you really just gotta open your eyes.
It's 2018, man.
You're spending all this
You gotta
time
be
being
woke.
being so hateful.
You gotta be woke, son. It's 2018.
It takes more muscles to frown than to smile.
Really, definitely. Definitely. The world is going haywire over that.
If you want to be a boy, be a boy. If you want to be a girl, be a girl.
Go ahead.
don't you could be neither. I don't care.
Hey man, if you want to be both, go ahead.
As long as you're not an asshole.
Ha ha ha. Yeah.
Everybody's got an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my asshole sewed shut. I'm gonna be the first assholeless human.
Identify as an asshole. Yeah,
I'll
no,
pop.
like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So take away from that conversation. Don't be an asshole. It's really easy to not be an asshole. Let people be people.
Yeah. Don't be an asshole, and depression is real. So
What's next on the agenda? What do we got? What do you want to talk about?
well, let's talk about Kanye's new album.
Man, I'm not huge into music.
Yeah.
I wish I was really. I'm recently into hip hop, like within the past 5 years, 6 years. But even then, I was telling Anthony this before. I feel like I've been listening to music in a bubble. Like I found like 4 or 5 artists that I really like, and I just listen to those for literally the past 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And I really want to branch out, but every time I try to, very rarely do I find an artist that I like. But Kanye's new album is awesome. It's incredible. And I mean, I know Kanye is super talented and he's kind of a maniac, but I don't know, man. His album was awesome.
It was great. It was everything I wanted from Kanye.
He's still
And
in
it was
there.
also a little bit of things I didn't even know I wanted from Kanye. So, yeah, good album, great album. If you haven't checked it out,
The
go and check
opening,
it out.
the beginning of the first song is "I thought about killing you today," and I was like, "Damn, that's some wild shit."
I thought about killing myself, and I love myself way more than I love you. So I thought about killing you today. That's very poetic.
Yeah, and like you could, it's not fake either.
It's not. It's real. It's something I can identify with as a human being.
I mean, I mean, I don't know.
Human
Everyone's got dark
beings-
thoughts.
Yeah, definitely.
Not that the majority of people would act on them, but like,
But human beings are selfish in that sense as well, because anyone can identify with that saying. You know what I mean?
yeah, like I forgot what the term was for it, but there's there's this idea that like when you hold a kitten, super cute, but you just get this split second thought of like, man, I could just squeeze this thing and kill it. And the scientific explanation for that is you are, as a human, you really don't want to be weakened by something. You want to be strong to the core. And when you see this kitten, you're like, "Aw," and you let your guard down, and your brain's like, "No, you have to be sure that you can kill this thing at all times."
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I guess there's some truth in the fact that everyone has some crazy shit going on in their heads at all times.
Yeah, human beings are wild.
What do you think the world would be like if everybody knew what everybody else was thinking at all times?
I don't know. I think the world would be a little bit bland, and I don't think anyone would be special, because if everybody has a superpower, nobody has a superpower. You know what I mean?
That's not really what I was getting at. I was getting at more of the notion that it's like the ultimate form of honesty.
Oh, okay.
Like everybody knows what everybody means and what everybody's thinking about at all times. You could look at a guy and imagine like a little HUD would come up in your eyes and say, "This guy thought about killing someone 0.5 seconds ago," and then would like highlight the person that he was thinking about down in the corner of the room, and you'd be like, "Man." But at the same time, he could look at you and see everything that you're thinking at
And
the
you're
same time.
thinking about how he's thinking about.
Yeah, and then the
how
system
he was
crashes and
gonna
everyone dies at the same time.
That would be interesting.
System overload.
Um, but then, like, you got to pose the question: when do they act on the thoughts? Like,
Yeah.
like, as a police officer, do you detain that guy right there, or do you wait until the crime sets out and then?
Maybe
you know?
not get there in time.
Yeah, like, you can think about that, but he can also see it as well. So
Yeah.
it's just one big fucking mess. Like, wow.
I feel like it would become it would be normalized within like a year.
Yeah, we'd find a way.
It could because like everyone would be like you'd be talking to your friend and you'd be like, "Man, I could see that you're thinking about your girl right now. We're hanging out. What the fuck are you doing?" And then you'd be like, "I could see that you're thinking about your girl right now. What the fuck are you doing?" And then everyone would be it would just be fine. Like everyone knows that brains work in stupid ways, and if you're thinking about stepping on a dog right now, it's just your brain doing weird shit.
True.
I don't think about stepping on dogs. I love animals, but I still eat cows and pigs and chickens and fish. Oops.
Man,
Man, this week kicked my ass, man.
yeah, it's been very long.
40-hour weeks, gotta love them.
You know, let's talk about the Texas shooting that happened a few weeks ago. I don't know if you read up on that.
I don't think I did.
Oof.
Was that the one where the video came out with the kid, or was that there was a iPhone video that came out of the one of the shooters? I forgot which one, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do a shooting." He was in public, like walking down the street with people walking past him or something like that, and he was just FaceTiming himself, making a forward camera video, being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna shoot up this school with this kind of gun. I wanted to do it for a long time. I'm really excited. Can't wait." And then he stops the video, and it is chilling. It is horrifying.
I'm not sure if that's the Santa Fe school shooting.
Could you
But
bring
that
up?
one? That one's bad.
Yeah. What happened in Santa Fe? Oh, I do
there
remember
was
that.
It was the kid with the shotgun, and he killed 10 people,
Shit.
wounded like 10 people. Um, he just like it's very chilling because he set out to kill people that he didn't like, and he spared everyone that he liked, you know. And he like people were targets. People had targets on their back in that school. They didn't even know.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It was 9 students and 1 teacher got killed.
Schools need to be safe. More kids have died in schools than in active combat in the military from America so far this year. How crazy is that? The military is where you sign up to get shot at. School is where you go to learn.
Yeah.
That's backwards.
Keep it separate, man.
I'm not going to say that. That was almost bad.
What?
Never mind.
I mean, it's messed up, man. People take it too far.
Yeah.
We live in an era though where people are really go to the extreme, you know? We do it big now.
Yeah, and people like to blame it on video games because it was never a problem before, but there's no hundreds of studies have been done trying to correlate mental illness and violence in people with people that play video games.
Yeah.
Not a single study proves that. No matter what you read how it's worded in the headline. It doesn't say anything concrete. It's just that the wording makes it look like maybe, but it's all suggestive wording. It's just to get clicks on the headline. There's nothing proving that
Clickbait.
playing violent video games makes you more violent. Or even watching media. It's nothing like that. I don't know. I don't know the explanation for it. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything on gun control. I mean, I think it's okay for people to have guns, but it's getting to a point where something's got to be
It's getting
done.
tricky.
It's getting a little tricky.
It's getting a little tricky out here, folks.
I've never shot a gun personally, but
It's getting
I don't have any
very
quarrels
tricky.
with people that have guns. I know plenty of people that are safe gun owners.
Yeah.
My uncle's a cop.
There you go. Yeah. It's very easy to take something and twist it, you know?
Yeah.
It's very easy to blame one audience for somebody's actions. It happens all the time.
Yeah. I just wish that the issues could get resolved without throwing a group of people under the bus, and this is the smallest form of it. I hate using the term gamers as a group of people getting thrown under the bus for a political agenda, because there's so much more, so many other groups of people that happened to, But in this instance, and what I'm talking about, it's what's happening. And it's not really a huge deal that gamers are getting thrown under the bus for gun reform. And,
What are
but
they
still,
doing? They're just sitting at home playing
they're
games.
just trying to play video games.
Yeah. Some of them do get mad though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I like 99.999% of people that play video games are not school shooters.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Just because the Columbine kids played Doom and made a modified version of Doom where the map was their high school, that's really like
That's hardcore.
heavy metal and Doom
That shit's crazy.
were really put under some scrutiny when Columbine happened. Columbine was awful. Scary stuff.
Yeah.
I still find myself thinking about what would I do during a school shooting when I'm sitting in class. And like when I was in high school and my brother was in junior high, I'd be like, all right, I memorized his schedule so I knew where he was if anything ever happened.
Oh, nice.
So like I'd be sitting in class, second period, all right, my brother's in this class, I can go get him if anything hits the fan. And it was just a kid shouldn't have to think about that is what I'm trying to say.
No, yeah, I understand. Like,
But maybe I'm just being paranoid and it's who I am, but
no, no, definitely not because it almost happened to
Yeah.
where we are.
there was two threats.
Yeah.
None of them, I mean, one of the kids actually did have a lot of weapons and like in his basement, and he tried to hide them once the cops got called on him. And like that's some spooky shit.
That's crazy.
That's really, and he lived so close to the school within walking distance.
That's what I mean. Like it would have been bad.
It's just not. It's not okay.
Yeah, yeah. But social media turns out to be a good thing in that sense because
Yeah,
you can
that's how he
always
got.
see. Yeah, that's how you got. You can always see what's going on with a person. You know, if there's suspicious activity, then it might be worth checking it out.
Yeah, and just to get this out there, have you heard of the guy that shot up a school and killed a girl that said like denied him from dating him?
Yeah,
He like hunted her down and shot her because she said no to dating him.
yeah,
Can
yeah.
you believe that there is a group of people that blame the girl for saying no to going out with him? Can you believe how backwards that is? That it's her fault that she got shot in a school because she said no to dating somebody.
Yeah, that's the Texas school shooting. That's one of the victims from the Texas school shooting.
That's
Actually,
so
Santa
backwards.
Fe. Yeah, yeah, that's really backwards. That's
What is
messed
that?
up.
What kind of, I don't get it. Like how in the how in the world is that her fault?
I don't know.
She didn't bully him.
Like I said, that kid, man, he just fucking
He snapped.
he went after people he didn't like. He put a target on people's backs. That's crazy.
But like there's
And that
people that are
girl-
saying like if she would have just said yes to him to a date, if she would just gave him a shot, he wouldn't have done it. It's her fault.
It's her fault.
It's not her fault.
How? How the fuck is it her fault? You know?
Man, we're getting political today.
Hey, man. At a certain point, though, you got to admit
Things are
it's
getting
not her fault. People have the right to deny people. You
Yeah.
know?
It's
People
yeah,
have
yeah,
the right.
of
She
course.
has a right, to reject him.
If it was the other way around, could you imagine?
He has a right to ask her out, but she has a right to reject him.
She has just as much right to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has a right to
course.
reject him. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I just said, could you imagine if the roles were reversed?
Oh,
Like if a girl asked a guy out and he said no, and then she shot him in a school. People would be like,
they'd be flipping out on the girl.
she's
for sure.
fucking crazy.
That bitch is crazy. Blah blah blah. Running with it on the news. It'd be bad, man.
Yeah, man, it's
Gun control actually gets solved because it was a girl.
yeah.
That
You know
was-
what needs to happen? We need more people of color shooting up schools to get
Yeah.
gun reform to happen.
I know, right? Some Supreme Court cases going.
White men, stop shooting up schools.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that'd
like that's
be
not
crazy.
even like me being edgy, like calling out the white guy. I am a white guy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
only white guys that are shooting up schools. Why?
It's true. I mean, I didn't want to say anything, but yeah.
It is. What's happening?
I don't know. I don't know.
People are just crazy, dude. I
People,
don't know.
people are losing it, man.
There's too many people. We need another plague.
Huh. We need some bubonic shit. It would be pretty bad. You
Oh,
know,
nope. Go for it.
um, I was gonna say that I feel like racism in America, it's just like people have become so desensitized to it. I think there was a point where it did start to change, but then it just kind of plateaued, and everyone was like, this is good enough. And it's just been here for a while, but now people are, they're kind of like, this shit's still going on, you know what I mean? I guess we're getting
Yeah.
tired of it.
I've heard white people say, how much more do they want?
Well,
And I was like, are you kidding me? Get real.
yeah.
What? I don't, I don't know, dude.
There's a lot of angles to tackle it from.
I can only not care about
I feel
so
bad
many
for
things.
Muslim people. I feel bad for them right now.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
It's just, ooh, 9/11 happened, and so many school shootings happen, and it's white men. But 9/11 happened once. 9/11 was awful. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it was
it
a
was
Muslim.
a tragedy. It was very
They were
bad.
Muslims, right?
I'm not sure actually.
People of color were flying those planes.
Yes, yes.
Terrorists. And since then, maybe even before that, well, since then, just every Muslim is labeled as a terrorist. If you're wearing a turban, you are being looked at.
Yeah.
If you're wearing a sari, people are looking at you.
Exactly.
And it's horrible. And there are people that are Muslims that have some not so okay motives, but so are white people. There's bad people in every country, in every group. It's just how it is.
Yeah, it is how it is. That goes back to the earlier thing of, generalizing, grouping people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that goes back to that earlier. You can't just, you can't use one example to define an entire race or culture.
Yeah.
It's not.
What if everybody used Hitler to like group up Germans? If everyone thought about Hitler every time they looked at a German guy, or Hitler was Austrian actually? I don't know. I don't know anything about
I
anything.
get your point. I get your point. But yeah, it wouldn't be good for them.
Yeah, it's actually more of a psychological thing. The brain is always looking for shortcuts, and it's always trying to group things with things that look like other things. We covered this already with the whole bucket thing. And if you look at a cup, like upwards and downwards processing, you have a bucket for things that are cups in your head. So you're predisposed to thinking that something that looks like a cup is a cup.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see someone wearing a turban and you remember 9/11 happened, you're like, that's a terrorist. It's not a terrorist.
It's just your friendly neighbor.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's awful, man. I had a nice old guy with a big long gray beard wearing a turban sitting in front of me on my flight to Jamaica, and me and my cousin were just we were just talking with him the entire time, and I cannot tell you how many people just kept looking over their shoulder and looking at him just to be sure that he didn't have a bomb on him. And I was like, "We have TSA."
He was a nice guy.
Yeah, he was so nice.
Nice.
He was funny. I'm like, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but there's just so many things that could be done better. And it's going to take a long time if the world doesn't end before it.
Yeah.
But I think we're heading in the right direction.
Nothing
Kinda.
happens overnight.
Very
True.
slowly.
Yeah. Yep. You got to work towards it every single day. You know what also is crazy?
What?
The whole North Korea summit thing. I don't really know what's going on with that at all.
I haven't been keeping up with that either since the last we talked about it.
The only thing I know is that it was canceled, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why it was canceled or anything like that, but
We went over this in the last podcast or the one before it.
yeah. Yeah, I know.
Something with Pence. They called him a political idiot.
Oh yeah.
And Trump was like, "You can't say that about my boy," and then canceled the summit. But
yeah.
I think things are looking good for
Yeah, no, it's
rescheduling.
definitely gonna come back around.
Man, it's hot in here.
I know, right?
We closed the windows to for better sound quality because people are mowing their lawns and birds are chirping. All the
Yeah.
fans are off, so we're just sitting in a shed, nice and humid. Got some sweat dripping off my brow.
It's pretty hot today. Stay hydrated, folks. Hmm.
It's very important to stay hydrated.
Do you believe that police officers get off too easily?
Yeah, sometimes.
I mean, you said your uncle was a cop, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't. I like to feel like it doesn't sway my opinion. I don't want to be
Yeah.
biased, but
Yeah.
there are good cops.
My stepdad was a cop, for a little bit. So
Like just like we said before, there's always a couple bad eggs in every brood.
yeah. But do you think they deserve harsher punishment? Or do you think that being suspended is fair enough, or
I
paid
think they should.
vacation?
I think they should be tried as a normal person.
Oh, so you think it should go to a court of law?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
entirely.
I agree with that.
Because like say two people fight on the side of the road and one guy is way is like he comes out on top but in not so savvy ways. Like
Yeah.
for a cop, maybe he was a criminal and he just brutalized him, pepper spray, maybe even shot him and just continued to beat the shit out of him until he was unconscious on the ground. That is I don't know, man. It's cops need to be held responsible. That's how it is. If you are out of line, you should be fired. Simple as
Definitely.
that.
Definitely.
If I don't do my job right, I will get fired. A
You're
cop's
right.
job is to protect and serve.
Yeah. Not terrorize.
Yeah.
Definitely. I feel like people are afraid of the police too.
Yeah,
It's like
I have nothing of interest in my car and I try to drive as safely as possible. But when I get pulled over, I'm scared.
yeah.
And I don't know why. I shouldn't be, but I am. Like I don't like one instance that comes to mind. Me and my right before our friend Matt went off to college, we all went down to the beach in his car and we were just sitting there talking. And a cop came up. He pulled up behind us with his lights on, and we were like, "Well, we weren't doing anything wrong." He came up to us and he was like, "What are you boys doing down here?" And we're like, "Yeah, just talking. He's about to go off to college. We wanted to have a little talk before he went." And he was like, "Anything in the car?" And we were like, "No, sir." He was like, "You sure?" And we were like, "No, sir." Or yes, yes, sir. We are sure. And I moved in the back seat, and his hand went to his gun. He shined his flashlight on me. He was like, "What are you doing back there?" And I was just like, he was like, "Do not move your hands." And I was so afraid, dude. I mean, I get it. There was three of us and one of him, but we weren't doing anything.
Yeah, that's scary. Um, I've had a few experiences with the police. I think you were there for one of them when I that little fender bender I got with Mitch's car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was pretty bad. So pretty much, we were hanging out at our friend's house, and the night was over, and everybody was getting ready to leave, and we got in our cars, and I accidentally got into a fender bender with one of my friends who was parked in behind me. He was parked behind me, and I put my car in reverse. It was pretty dark, so I didn't really see his car wasn't backed up enough. So when I hit the gas, I went into the back of his hood. It wasn't that big of a deal. We called the cops. So the cops come, and when they arrive, you know, they treat Mitch with respect and whatnot. They go through it like he's just a regular person. They say, "All right, hang tight. We're gonna go talk to this kid." They come over, they talk to me, and they're instantly interrogating me and asking me a whole bunch of unnecessary questions, and then they go, "Do you have anything inside your car?" Which I didn't. So they decide to search my car, all for a little fender bender, mind you. They decide to search my car, and they don't really find anything, but I just feel like it was a huge waste of time, and maybe I'm taking it out of context, but I feel like it's just because I am I'm Jamaican, you know. I just look, you know,
Well,
I look like
did you
a
have dreads at the time?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I had dreads, you know. I have dreadlocks. I'm a Jamaican. I just look like, I guess, a person of interest in their eyes.
Yeah.
And so they just went through all of my stuff, you know. Tried to search and find something on me. Actually, a state trooper arrived, um, and he was the one who made them, you know, keep pushing. He's like, you know, this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. We came here to, you know, make the claim and get out of here. So that's what happened. Shout out to that state trooper.
So he came and he was like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he was a real cool guy. But you know, it was also really cold outside, and he was wearing a state trooper outfit, so he was not.
He was like, "We have to go. I'm cold."
Yeah,
Man, that was I don't like that. We live in a
Yeah.
place where the cops are not too great with black and brown people.
yeah,
Like we were all longboarding through this plaza that's like right up the street, and it was like freshly new paved, and it's like kind of hilly, so you can get some speed and cruise around. And granted, you're not supposed to be in there in the plaza past when all the stores are closed, and it was maybe like midnight. But in all honesty, we were just riding through the plaza to get to the other side of it, which was closer to where we were going.
yes,
And as we do that, our one friend Matt, who is Hispanic, he was like, "Okay, guys, I'm gonna go back and I just want to go down the hill again." And we were like, "Okay, cool." So we were waiting for him, and then the cops pull up to us and is like, "What are you guys doing here?" And we were like, "We're just riding through." And they were like, "Okay, we saw someone ride away. Was he running from us?" And we were like, "No, he just went back to go down the hill." And he looked like he didn't believe us. So then Matt comes back. He saw the cop, and then Matt comes back, and another cop who I guess saw him and was like, I guess the other cop radioed the guy that saw Matt, and the cop came in, and then Matt was the only one that got searched. The
Yeah.
only one. And granted, one of the five of us maybe had something on them. Maybe. Supposedly.
wow.
But it's just, I
And
don't.
everyone else was white.
Yeah.
Matt was the Hispanic. Wow. Yeah, definitely. There's been a handful of times where I feel like I've been profiled by the police. But hey, that's just me. You know.
It's weird. I don't like it. They don't even like. It's like they know what they're doing too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I,
Definitely.
Matt's such a small boy.
He's such a good kid.
He's like the best one out of all of us.
Yeah, that's a shame. That is just
I don't like it
goose
one
darn
bit.
shame. Not one bit.
We were gonna have another guest on today. I hope whoever listens to this that, I love friends and family that listen to the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
But it's also super interesting to hear from people that don't know us. I'd like to know, maybe leave a comment on YouTube if that's where you're listening. I would love to hear your thoughts about how things are going, what you thought about the guest on the podcast, because we want to have guests regularly. I like the dynamic that Anthony and I have one-on-one, but I think a third or fourth, maybe even we're going to get a camera soon, and we're going to have maybe a group of 5 or 6 six of us on the show before everyone goes back to college.
Yep.
And I just want to get some feedback, if any, from people that are listening. I feel like that would be helpful.
Very helpful.
Like, do you like the music in the intro? I know we didn't have one last week, but we had some editing problems going on.
Yeah.
But we try to get up
very busy.
usually on Friday, but other than that, sometime during the weekend, maybe on a Monday if things are really busy, is when we're going to upload regularly. But I'm really happy to be recording again.
Feels good to
And
be back.
I was kind of scared that I was already losing steam after 3 episodes. Because like first 3 episodes, I was like, hell yeah, hyped on the podcast, let's go. But for this one, I was like, man, fuck, I'm feeling like I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, low energy, right?
But I'm happy to be on. Maybe I just got to drink coffee before I come.
Get that little boost that you need.
Sorry to break the fourth wall, but what time are we at?
Right now we've got about 15 minutes left.
Okay.
I was about to say we've got time for one more segment. We can give it a good whirl.
For our video game heads out there, what do you think, Anthony, about the newly announced Switch Pokemon game?
Ooh. Um. I'm not. I'm not really upset with it. I don't know how the two-player system's gonna work or how the whole connectivity issues are gonna be with Pokemon Go, but I'm not upset. I think it's gonna be a good Pokemon game. I think it's gonna be one that we needed for a while. However, I do think that they could have marketed the two separate games differently. I don't think Pikachu and Eevee are necessarily the best choices. This is all my personal opinion.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of refreshing to see. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna. I think they.
I'm gonna get Pikachu, obviously.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
um, I was kind of upset. I'm not gonna lie at the beginning of it, but not really too. I wasn't like really upset because I definitely grew out of Pokemon. Sad to say, because like it was a huge part of my childhood, and I wanted to hang on to it for as long as I could. But after Diamond and Pearl, I kind of fell out, and I think it was like 2011 was when Diamond and Pearl came out,
yeah, it was a while ago.
and that was the last one that I played all the way through, and I had a great time. And then I bought one of the games of the two that would come out every couple years, and I would get one of them. I would like start it, and I just wouldn't finish it. But I kept doing it because I'm like, man, I remember all the fun I used to have playing Pokemon when I was a kid, and I just really wanted to hang on to it, and that's what I find playing a lot of video games. But I really hope that I can get into this one, because that's a big problem that I've been having with video games lately. I can't get into them like I used
Yeah.
to. Maybe it's a time thing, maybe it's an age thing. I don't know. But I really want to play video games, but I have systems, I have the games, and sometimes I even have the time to play them, but I'm just like, man, I just can't do it.
I know how you feel. I do know how you feel.
But I'm happy that they're going to back to basics.
Yeah,
excited to
back
see
to the
what-
start.
Excited to see what comes after you beat the game,
Oh yeah.
because I really like the idea of being able to play through every region in like chronological order.
Yeah.
Like if you beat the first region, you go to the second one from what was it, Crystal
Mhm.
and Silver and Gold, and you go to Ruby and Sapphire, and then you go to Diamond and Pearl, and then what came after Diamond and Pearl? Not Sun and Moon, right?
Black and white.
Black and White, and then Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
That's a very, very long game, and that's a lot of play hours. And I'm not going to say that I would play through all of it, but I think it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would be. And now here we are with the new one, and they got the new Pokeball controller coming out.
I think that's kind of lame, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not gonna get it, but it's a cool gimmick they got.
Yeah, it's for the kids. That's what you always got to remind yourself. These games are for kids. We're 20.
Yeah. As a kid, that I wish I had that. That'd
Yeah.
be cool.
Because like I get into the mindset where I'm like, why would they release a Pokeball? What adult in their right mind is gonna walk around with a Pokeball in their pocket and like they feel it vibrate and you go like, I gotta catch this Pokemon, and you throw it in public? Who would do that as an adult? And then you're like, oh wait, these games are for children.
Yeah, that'd be kind of weird. And like in the trailer, it's never like the kids. Like it wasn't the kids. It was a lady who pulled it out of her purse that was sitting out of the cafe.
That's why I
You
think
know what
this.
I mean?
These games are for kids, but they know that they have these people that were born in the 90s and early 2000s by the balls playing these games.
They do.
They have 'em
They
hooked.
have us. They want us hooked. I mean, like, come on. Super Mario Odyssey was
Fantastic.
whew,
First game I've beaten in probably 10 years.
incredible. And Legend of Zelda. I've been playing that for God knows how long now. And
Yeah, I'm
it's
still playing it.
great. It's still great, yeah.
I got it the day the Switch came out, and I'm still playing it.
It's great. That's wow. You see, Nintendo makes video games that last. They age well. People don't know how to make a game of replay value.
Yeah, it's always like with the Call of Duties that are coming out once or twice a year. It's like you're playing it, and then you're like, when's the next one coming out?
True.
When you get the new Call of Duty, you're never going back to play the old one. But when you get Super Mario Odyssey, you could always go back and play Super Mario Sunshine,
True, true, true.
which is it shows the value in what Nintendo's doing. They do rehash a lot with like the new Super Mario Bros. They're just making an old gimmick look better with new graphics and new power-ups and better gameplay. Pretty much the same game over and over again, like Call of Duty is. But at the same time, they're releasing these huge games with like their own little universe, like Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Odyssey and Sunshine and Luigi's Mansion. These games are so unique, but with the same characters. The other companies aren't doing this.
Yeah.
And I can't see Nintendo failing, even though they're maybe not at the forefront of video games, because of how I can't even explain it. I feel like these
They're
new
in their own category.
these new gamers are shooters, not they like shooting games.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No. Really, when I think about Nintendo, I think of it like this. Everybody has either Sony or an Xbox, but everyone also has Nintendo, you know? Like, you might have had a Wii, and then you can argue about whether the PS3 or the Xbox 360 is better. You still got the Wii, though, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everybody has that. Everybody's got a Game Boy Advance, and they still have either Sony or Xbox. It's not Nintendo versus Sony and Xbox.
yeah. I
'Cause
guess they are in their own category.
Yeah, you can't even compete with them. They're for the whole family. Everybody's playing Nintendo. You can't even compete with that. You know?
I think their marketing is incredible.
It's genius.
I think they knew exactly what they were doing, and they didn't quarantine themselves from the rest of the family.
Yeah.
Because like anybody can play a Nintendo game. Not to say that anybody can't play these new games, like stuff on Microsoft and Sony, but it's definitely for a certain demographic.
Absolutely. And with that, I want to wrap up the podcast today.
Wow, that last 15 minutes went quick.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really 15. We're nearing like 10. It's been like 8 right now.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I am your co-host, Anthony. This is Perfect Strangers podcast.
Episode 4 on a lazy Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
You gotta go out to eat with your family soon,
Yeah.
and I gotta go take the cover off my dad's pool.
Ooh.
So we will catch you guys next week. Thank you for listening.